the track for Aqueduct's Race 9.
The Broadway Stakes?
The Broadway Stakes, you got it. $125,000 purse. Not bad, right? It's for fillies and mares 4 years old and up. 11 horses are in the running. And we've got a couple of really good sources to help us handicap this race. Brisnet and the Race Form Report. So should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, this one looks fun, especially with that new no Lasix rule. No performance-enhancing drugs allowed within 48 hours of post time. It really levels the playing field, I think.
Yeah, it makes it tough to predict. No magic potions.
Right, exactly.
But we do have some serious data to look at. Brisnet and the Race Form Report both talk about the importance of pace in this race. They're predicting a fast early pace. And at Aqueduct, especially at this distance, 7 furlongs, speed can be a big advantage.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Aqueduct tends to favor those horses with speed, especially at this distance, and the ones who like to press the pace. So, yeah, that's definitely something we need to keep in mind. A horse that bursts out of the gate might not have the stamina to hold on,
Right.
And the ones who lag behind, they could get caught in traffic. So it's a real strategic game,
Yeah, it's like we need to think like the jockey. Not just handicap the horse, but think about the jockey's strategy.
Absolutely.
Now, speaking of strategy, the Race Form Report hinted at some, trainer intent in this race. They suggested that some trainers might be trying to disguise their horse's true potential. Like a poker player kind of bluffing.
Yeah, and there are a few things to look out for there, for sure. For example, the Race Form Report mentions this trainer, who I won't name, but he's known for entering horses with these deceptively slow workouts. You know what? We might have a case of that right here in this race.
Oh, really?
Caldwell Loves Gold.
Oh, interesting. Caldwell Loves Gold. She's dropping in class for this race, which could give her an edge, but that slow workout, yeah, it's definitely a head-scratcher.
Yeah. Is the trainer trying to, mislead the competition, or is there something else going on?
Right. And this is where those key metrics like prime power ratings, speed figures, class ratings, they become really important.
Right, sure.
Because they kind of help us decode a horse's potential.
Absolutely. You're looking at, their speed, their class, how they performed in recent races.
Yeah, it's like having a secret decoder ring for each horse. All right, so let's talk about some of these contenders, starting with My Magic Wand. She's likely going to be the favorite.
Yeah, she's coming in with a recent win and a really strong speed figure, and her jockey has a pretty high win percentage, too, so on paper, she looks really good.
Yeah, she looks good on paper, but she's also moving up in class, right?
She is, yeah.
So tougher competition.
Exactly, tougher competition. So that adds another layer of, uncertainty.
Right, it's like she's stepping up to the big leagues. All right, let's move on to Tough Street. She's got what they call tactical speed, so she can position herself near the front of the pack, and her prime power rating is strong. But she's been off the track for 56 days.
Yeah, 56 days. So, the question is she truly race ready?
Right, is she race ready? We need to know. Layoffs can be tricky.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, and then there's Landed. She's got the best class form of the race, meaning she's consistently performed well against some pretty tough competition. And her workouts have been steady, consistent. Looks like she's being primed for a big effort.
Yeah, she looks good on paper, but like Tough Street, she's also coming off a layoff.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, over 4 months.
Wow, okay. All right, so we've got those top contenders, and of course we can't forget about those last-minute changes on the tote board. Those odds can shift dramatically right before the race.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They absolutely can. And those odds, they reflect the bets that are being placed. So sometimes you'll see a sudden surge in bets on a particular horse, and that can be a sign of what they call smart money coming in.
Ah, the smart money, those seasoned bettors. So how do we distinguish those savvy bets from just a bandwagon effect?
That's a great question. I mean, you don't want to just blindly follow the crowd, right? You've got to use those tote board fluctuations as one piece of the puzzle, along with, your analysis of the horses, the race conditions, and even those, those trainer tactics we were talking about earlier.
Right, so you got to do your homework. All right, so we've got these top contenders, each with their strengths and potential weaknesses. But let's not forget about the allure of the long shot, right?
Right.
Spiteful Lily, for instance, she's got a new trainer and a new jockey. Both considered upgrades, which might mean that, someone's trying to boost her performance. Could she be a sleeper pick?
Well, she's certainly worth a look, especially with those changes. And her last workout was pretty sharp. And, speaking of under-the-radar contenders, let's circle back to Caldwell Loves Gold. Could that slow workout be a deliberate tactic by her trainer? Is she being underestimated, or is there, a legitimate reason to be concerned?
Right. So it's like we're trying to piece together a puzzle, looking for those clues to each horse's true potential. And that's what makes handicapping so much fun. But before we get too carried away with picking winners, let's remember that this deep dive is really about finding value bets. It's not just about picking the horse that crosses the finish line first. It's about identifying those horses whose odds might be higher than their actual chances of winning.
Exactly. Betting on the favorites might seem like the safe option, but sometimes the real payoff comes from finding those undervalued contenders. And the Race Farm report has some interesting betting strategies for us to consider. They're recommending win bets on My Magic Wand and Tub Street, but only if their odds are above a certain threshold. So again, it's all about maximizing your return on investment.
Right, right. And for those who are feeling a bit more adventurous, the Race Form report, they suggest some exacta and trifecta boxes to play. So for those who might not be familiar with these bets, an exacta box lets you pick 2 horses to finish first and second in any order. So, it increases your chances of winning. A trifecta box is similar, but you have to pick the top 3 finishers in any order.
Yeah, and they also have a sneaky play for the superfecta, which challenges you to predict the top 4 finishers in the correct order.
Wow.
So, long shot, but the payout could be huge if you hit it.
All right, so we got our top contenders, a couple of intriguing long shots, and some betting strategies to consider. But before we jump into our predictions, we need to take a deeper dive into those fascinating trainer tactics and how they might influence this race. Kind of like those behind-the-scenes documentaries,
Right.
where they show you what the coaches are doing during the game.
Exactly. And the trainer is like the coach shaping the horse's, performance through the training, how they pick the races and all these little tactics that we've been kind of talking about.
Yeah. So, what are some of the telltale signs? How do we know if a trainer is up to something sneaky? How do we tell the difference between, genuine underperformance and a calculated strategy?
Well, you got to look at, for example, a change in a horse's workout routine, like an athlete who suddenly switches up their training right before a big competition.
Right.
So a shift in a horse's workouts, that can be a signal that the trainer is trying something different.
So like Caldwell Loves Gold, that suspiciously slow workout. Is that a red flag or is it, a clever disguise?
It could be either, right? The race form report points out that this trainer has a history of entering horses that have these deceptively slow workouts, and then they perform much better on race day. So it's a risky strategy, but it can pay off big.
Yeah, yeah. So how do we, as handicappers, how do we figure this out? We have to become like horse racing detectives, I guess.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you look at the horse's past performances, their breeding, the jockey, obviously the trainer's track record, and you start to see these patterns, and then you can use those patterns to try to, predict how a horse might perform.
So it's not just about looking at the numbers, it's about, seeing the story behind the horse, right?
Yeah, exactly. And don't forget about, the psychology of it all. The mind games that the trainers play, not only with their horses, but also with the bettors. And that's where the tote board comes in, right? It's like this giant mood ring reflecting the collective wisdom or maybe the folly of the crowd.
Right, the tote board. Those, those flashing odds constantly changing as people place their bets. How do we, how do we read the psychology of the tote board? Are there any signs that we could look for that give us an edge?
One thing I always look at is those late smart money moves. So those are the bets that are placed by, the experienced handicappers. And those are the people who often have, a deeper understanding of the race and the horses.
So if you see a sudden surge in bets, on a particular horse right before the race,
right,
that could mean that, the people who know what they're doing, they think that horse has a good chance.
Yeah, definitely something to watch for, but it's not foolproof because sometimes a sudden drop in odds that can actually indicate that a horse is being overbet, which, makes the payout less favorable.
Oh, okay. So you have to be careful. Don't get caught up in the hype. All right. So we have to be cautious with the tote board, trust our gut, our analysis. And speaking of betting strategies, let's revisit those recommendations from the race form report. They suggest win bets on My Magic Wand and Tough Street, but only if the odds are above a certain threshold.
Right.
So, it's not just about chasing favorites. We're looking for value, right?
Right.
Those hidden opportunities.
You got it.
Where we can really maximize the return on investment.
That's the goal.
Yeah, that's the goal. And for those who are feeling a little more adventurous, the race form report suggests some exacta and trifecta boxes, which allow you to bet on multiple horses finishing in the top 2 or 3 positions in any order. So
yeah, so you're kind of, hedging your bets a little bit,
right,
spreading the risk.
Spreading the risk. And they even have a sneaky play for the superfecta, which is really hard to predict. You got to get the top 4 finishers in the exact order.
You do. But if you get it, man,
It's a big payout.
big payout.
Okay, so we've analyzed all the data, we've decoded those sneaky trainer tactics, we've learned how to read the psychology of the tote board, and we've even talked about some different betting strategies. So sounds like to be a successful handicapper, you need a little bit of everything. Analytical skills, but also that intuition, a little bit of psychology.
It's definitely a lot more than just, picking the fastest horse.
Yeah, it's a lot more to it. And with that in mind, let's turn our attention back to those 11 horses in the starting gate. We'll be back after a short break to analyze each contender in detail, weigh their strengths and weaknesses, and then finally, we'll make our predictions for the Broadway Stakes. Stay tuned. Okay, race fans, we've broken down the race conditions, we uncovered some of those sneaky trainer tactics, and we even tried to tap into that collective wisdom of the tote board.
Yeah, the wisdom or maybe the madness, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. So it's time to put all of our knowledge to the test. Make some predictions for the Broadway Stakes. But, horse racing, it's a sport full of surprises, right?
Oh, absolutely. A little stumble, the wind changes, who knows? Maybe a horse just gets inspired.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
So we're approaching this with confidence, but also a little bit of humility.
Right.
We don't have a crystal ball, but, we do have some good insights from our sources and our analysis. So let's start with the likely favorite, My Magic Wand. She's got the speed, a recent win, a jockey with a good win percentage, but, can she handle stepping up in class?
Yeah, that's the big question with My Magic Wand, right? She's never been this level of competition before. It's like, taking a rookie athlete and throwing them in with a bunch of veterans.
Right.
Talent is one thing, but can she handle the pressure?
Yeah, that's a great analogy. And her odds are probably going to be pretty low, so the payout might not be worth the risk, even if she does win. So let's move on to Tough Street. She's got that tactical speed, so she can stay to the front, and her prime power rating is good. But that layoff, 56 days.
Yeah, that's definitely a concern. I mean, some horses, they thrive on a break. They come back refreshed, ready to go. Others, they need some time to get back into shape. And, this trainer, he doesn't have the best record with horses coming off layoffs. So
Right.
it's a gamble, for sure.
All right, so let's look at Landed. Best class form in the race, consistently doing well against tough competition. Workouts look good, like she's ready for a big effort. But she's also coming off a layoff, right?
Yeah, over 4 months.
4 months, wow, okay. All right, so we've got those three strong contenders, each with their, pros and cons. Let's look at the long shots. Spiteful Lily, new trainer, new jockey, both upgrades, and a good recent workout, so...
Yeah, she's definitely one to consider, I think. Those changes, they could signal a real effort to, to improve her performance. And if the pace collapses in this race...
What does that mean?
If the front runners tire out,
Right.
she could be in a great spot to make a late move and take it all.
And then there's Caldwell Loves Gold, our puzzle horse.
Right.
That slow workout, is the trainer messing with us? Or is there something else going on? If the smart money's on her, maybe she's being underestimated, but, it's high risk, high reward.
Yeah. It's a tough one. I mean, we have to consider the trainer's history, but also the possibility that that slow workout means, something's wrong. So it's all about, how much risk are you willing to take?
Right. All right, we've analyzed the contenders, talked about the race, talked about some betting strategies. Time to make our picks. What do you think?
I'm thinking of value play. I think Tough Street could outperform her odds, especially if that layoff was good for her. I'd consider a win bet if the odds are above 4-1.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a calculated risk, but, the payout could be decent.
Okay, I like it. I'm feeling a little bit more adventurous. I'm intrigued by Spiteful Willie, that upset potential.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm thinking a small win bet on her and maybe a little something on an exacta box with her in Tough Street.
Oh, I like it.
Just in case. All right, so those are our picks, but, we're just two people. The real winner is the one who crosses the finish line first,
Exactly. Anything can happen.
So do your homework. Look at the racing forms, analyze those odds, place your bets, and win or lose, just enjoy the race. It's going to be a great one. And, of course, remember, gamble responsibly. Always, always.
Good luck, everybody.